Hi guys, welcome back to day 2 of reading and writing, spelling, and all that fun stuff. Yesterday we talked about cause and effect, and I read to you guys a short story about the cat in the moon, and I explained that it was a fantasy story and why it was a fantasy story. A fantasy, something that can't really happen, usually involving magic or like talking animals or something like that. And then I also talked about cause and effect. Cause is something that allows the next thing to happen. So for example, if I studied for my I got an A on my test because I studied. The cause, I studied. The effect, I got an A on my test. That would be an example of cause and effect, okay? So today, for our reading lesson, / writing lesson, is you guys are gonna write your own short story. Now, I sent your guys' writing journals home with you. So I want you guys to write your short story in there, and then I'll read them when you guys come back, and we can read them out loud for each other. Hopefully we'll get the chance to do that. So what am I going to be looking for in your short story? So I want your short story to be 5 sentences. Yes, 5. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but you guys can do it, and I really want you guys just to really focus on sentence structure. I always say that I'm looking for a capital letter to start your sentence. I'm looking for a punctuation mark at the end of each sentence. I'm looking for handwriting that's the best of your ability and not handwriting that you're just rushing to get it done, because if you can't read it, neither can I. So just remember that. Spell, I always say spell to the best of your ability. You guys have writing dictionaries, I believe, in your writing books that you had with Miss Crouch, so you may use those. Your parents can help you out with spelling as well. So I want 5 sentences in your short story, okay? The next thing that I'll be looking for in your short story is something that's an example of cause and effect. I want to read your story and be able to see a clear example of cause and effect. I'm going to link a video with this, a little YouTube video that also kind of better explains cause and effect and gives you some visuals so you can see, so you better understand what cause and effect is. And then I want your story to be fantasy. So remember, using like magical powers or talking animals or just something super unrealistic, usually something supernatural. So I want it to be a fantasy story, okay? And then lastly, I want you to use 2 spelling words. I know this kind of seems like a lot, but you guys kind of have a while to write it. If we were in class, I would probably have you guys work on it throughout the week. So I want you guys to include 5 sentences, have a clear example of cause and effect. I want it to be fantasy, a fantasy story, and I want you to use 2 spelling words. I sent home this on Friday with the spelling words for this week. If you lost it or you can't find it, just have your parents shoot me a text on Remind, and I'll send a screenshot of this. But I'll read them too as well, so you can also rewind the video to hear them if you need. The spelling words are her, bird, fur, fern, work, dirt, barn, and climb. So we are focusing on the ER, or, and IR sound this week. So 2 spelling words in your short story. I wrote a little short story as an example that I want to read for you guys, okay? So one day my dog Penny told me she was going to escape. She always talked about how she wanted to see the world, and she felt trapped. I told her that she could go, even though I would be sad. She told me she would write me from everywhere she visited. So she went on, and she sent me a postcard of her in a barn with some horses. She sent me a postcard of her on the moon in space, and a postcard of her hanging out in the islands with some birds and other animals. I missed her so much, but I was so glad she was having fun. If I never would have let her go, she would not be able to travel the world and be free. The end. Okay, so in my short story, I have at least 5 sentences. I used a couple spelling words. I used her, I used barn, and I used bird, if you were listening. And my short story is a fantasy. It talks about my dog who is talking and gets to travel to space and the islands and all this unrealistic stuff that can't happen. So it's a fantasy. My cause and my effect. At the end I said, if I never would have let her go, she would not be able to travel the world and be free. So because I let my dog go, she was able to travel the world and be free and send me pictures. So that was my cause and effect. So I had spelling words, an example of cause and effect. It was a fantasy story, and I had at least 5 sentences. So that is what I'm going to be looking for. I know you guys can do it, and I'm excited to read your stories. So again, email me, text me, parents, if your child has a question, they can call me. You can also rewind this video, listen to my short story again. I'm going to link a YouTube video that talks about cause and effect, like a little bit more, just to kind of help you students understand better what it is. But yeah, so just let me know. I'll see you guys tomorrow.